here, the Rowdy Teacher, and I'm here to welcome you to my YouTube channel. In today's episode, we're going to be looking at patterning in algebra. Specifically, we're going to be looking at how to use algebra tiles to represent patterns. Come on with me and let's dive right in. So let's take a look at a traditional number pattern. You've probably seen patterns like this and number patterns that increase by the same amount just by using commas in between the different numbers in the pattern. So this pattern has 2, 5, 8, 11, 14. It's important when we're thinking about representing patterns with pattern or algebra tiles that we think about each individual number. So I'm going to start with this first number here that's 2. This is what we label as term 1. It is the very first term or number that we see in this pattern. So 2 is term 1, term 2 would be 5, term 3 would be 8, and so forth and so on. So as you can see then, when I'm representing it, I like to put term 1 down at the bottom, and then I use algebra tiles that represents that same number. So because my first number was 2, I'm going to have 2 red algebra tiles. For my second term, again, I put term 2 at the bottom, and now I have 5 red tiles. And now again, term 3, and we can see that there's a total of 8 red tiles. So this is representing it with one color of algebra tile, and you can use different colors of algebra tiles, but it's really important to think about the colors that you use and why you're using them. So let's take a look at that in a little bit more detail with a different example. So here's another traditional number pattern, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. Again, before I use the algebra tiles, I'm going to take a look at that first number 3, and we call this first number term 1. So this is term 1 in my pattern, term 2 is 5, term 3 is 7, and so forth and so on. Now this time, I've decided to create my term 1 of 3 using 2 different colors. And it's going to be a little bit more obvious as I add more terms why I selected the colors I did. So I have 2 red tiles and 1 blue tile. 2 red tiles plus 1 blue tile makes a total of 3 tiles, which represents that number of 3 in term 1. For term 2, I decided that I'm going to still keep just the 1 blue tile, but the red, because I had 2 in the beginning, now I have 2 more there to make a total of 5. Let's take a look at term 3. Look at that again, 1 blue tile, and I've added yet another row of 2 red tiles. But again, I'm still following that pattern. Even though I have a blue tile that's been added to each one, we can see term 1 is still 3. Term 2 is still a total of 5, and term 3 is a total of 7. But why am I using the colors that I'm using? The blue tile is something that we call the constant. It is something that I need to add each time in order to make the pattern happen. So I need to add 1 each time. It stays the same no matter how many terms I'm going to have. Even if I'm down at term 99, guess how many blue tiles I'm going to have? You got it. I'm only going to have 1 blue tile. But the red tile is something known as a multiplier. And this one is known as a multiplier because, as you can see, each time in the term, it's growing. And this one in specifically is growing by 2 each time. It's important to take a look that there's actually a relationship between term 1, that name term 1, and the number of red tiles. Term 1 times 2 equals 2, and that's how many tiles I have, how many red tiles I have. Term 2 times 2 is 4. How many red tiles do I have? I have 4 red tiles. Term 3 times 2 is 6. And again, I have 6 red tiles. But in order to make it the pattern that I needed to add everything each time. I needed that constant of blue. This is how we build an explicit pattern rule. So in order for me to figure out what I would need for future terms, I would need to figure out what my explicit pattern rule is. And I would take the term number and I'm going to multiply it by 2 because it's my multiplier. It's the number that's getting bigger each time. But I need to make sure I add 1. I need that constant in there as well. So if I wanted to find out even what that term 99 would be, I would take term number 99, I would take 99, multiply it by 2, and then add 1. And that's going to tell me how many tiles I would need for that pattern. Well, that's it for this episode. Thanks for joining me, and be sure to like my YouTube channel. There's going to be a lot more videos around math, literacy, and other areas of Ontario curriculum that you're just going to love. Are you looking for high-quality Ontario resources for grades 4, 5, and 6? Be sure to check out my TPT store at The Rowdy Teacher.